It's been 5 years since Activision, instead of giving us a black woman, gave us Orisa, a robot with a black scent. What nobody asked for.
But it's the same thing, right, Katie? She sounds like a black woman.
Totally, like, just because she's a robot doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to identify with her as a black woman.
That's not dehumanizing, right? Well, since 2017, again, 5 years ago, Blizzard has made a lot of promises and been asked a lot of questions about if they were eventually going to finally put a black female in the game.
I don't even understand what's so hard. There's already black men in the game.
You know my name.
You just have to add a black woman.
Female. Well, now that Overwatch 2 is, quote, well into production, they have decided to put Sojourn, a former Overwatch captain equipped with powerful cybernetic augmentations and a mean railgun, into the spotlight.
Players have known that Sojourn will arrive since she was announced in 2021, but it's been even before that there have been rumors. I guess now we can get hype like 5 years later.
And Sojourn was first brought up as a lore figure in 2016 with Anna's Origins short. She was also the guide for players for the Storm Rising Archives event. I remember playing that. Now, in late April of this year, you will finally be able to play as Sojourn. And boy, has it been a sojourn to get here.
Sojourn is literally like a legend at this point because that's how long it took for her to actually come to the spotlight.
You're also going to be able to try out other heroes like Bastion, who's getting a rework for Overwatch 2. So we are almost there. There's still no black woman in Overwatch, but we're almost there to the beta.
Working on it, guys.
We're almost at the beta where you'll be able to play as her.
Meanwhile, you can play as a black woman in like any other game at this point.
When Overwatch came out and they had like a really multicultural cast, it was seen as kind of groundbreaking. Or not groundbreaking, because obviously like Street Fighter, other series have done that. But it was seen as something really inclusive and kind of progressive, which nowadays it's like the opposite, because like in Fortnite there's a million skins and there's all kinds of representation. Games like Valorant let you play as a black woman, Apex Legends.
That's what I was, yeah, Apex.
I think there's like a couple options. Ash Parrish over at The Verge has now gotten to speak to the developers behind Sojourn and get their perspective on the character. I will note that Ash Parrish is a black woman, so she might know a thing or two about this. She also cares a lot about Overwatch, so she's perfect for this interview. Sojourn being the 33rd character added to Overwatch. According to Geoff Goodman, who is Overwatch 2's lead hero designer, she's been around in our hearts and in our game in some form for so long. It's amazing to get her out there. Yeah, getting her to actually be playable is a major step. And yeah, she has been around in the lore, as we stated, for a long time. She just has been pretty much unused. They talk a lot about how Sojourn fights and what her abilities and her kit is in the game, and how her special is kind of like if Genji's Dragon Blade used a gun instead of a sword. That all sounds great, but not really what we're talking about in this video. Art director Dion Rogers said, in our playtest, when we play Sojourn, she's the answer. If we're not dealing enough damage, switch to Sojourn, and she starts to finish people off. Healers are too protected, switch to Sojourn, and she'll deal with them. There's a bit of flexibility in her. So, April 26th is Overwatch 2's closed beta. That's when people who have been invited will be able to finally try out Sojourn. And on May 5th, it will be the 5th season of the Overwatch League, which means that she could potentially see competitive play. Ash also adds that it seems to be that Sojourn will be, because she is so versatile and an answer to so many problems in the current state of the game. The team goes on to say, it was exciting to watch pro players experiment with Sojourn during the alpha and see all the ways her kit can turn the tides of a team fight. While the meta and the team strategies will be fluid throughout the season, our prediction is that Sojourn's presence in the OWL will be felt quickly. So not only is Sojourn important for representation, but she will apparently be pretty important to the actual meta game as well. Ash does touch on the fact that a lot of black female fans think it's been too long and she didn't come in time. Overwatch, she says, is a game that's pretty explicitly about people from all walks of life teaming up to fight evil. A black woman was nowhere to be found, rarer than 4 robots, 2 sentient animals, and 2 cowboys. Again, it's just shameful. We've talked about this in videos that are years old. You can watch videos where we talk about this years and years ago. Rogers acknowledged this and gave an explanation as to why. When we started making this game, we made a pretty detailed history and lore for the world of the game. It helped us create character designs. As heroes were added, a lot of times they're created to answer a specific question or fulfill a need. Brigitte, for example, came in because a lot of people relied on Tracer, and her ability to stun kind of shook up the metagame. So part of the reason Sojourn took so long was that the developers wanted to ensure her addition would adequately portray the significance of her character to the game's story. Now this is what Ash is saying, and I'm sure this is what the devs are saying at Overwatch, but it kind of just sounds like an excuse to me. And though yes, she is meant to be a central important figure, they waited a very long time and alienated a whole lot of black female players while they did. They say, we created this timeline, we wanted Sojourn, especially since she's the first black female character, to not just be a random addition to the game. Now, Overwatch 2 has had some issues with its development, and they say that's what made it impossible to add Sojourn sooner. She had a deep lore connection to the game world, Rogers said. She moves the storyline forward when she's introduced. So, they weren't ready for Overwatch 2, so she had to wait. She just had to wait her turn an extra few years because, it was so important. That's the only reason. We definitely wanted to make a black woman that felt authentic, Rogers says. Well, in making a woman who had to wait years and years to be acknowledged and accepted amongst her peers, I guess they kind of have made an authentic black woman. That's definitely authentic to the experience of a lot of black women in the workforce. Ash ends by saying that authenticity shows in her hairstyle, which is the, quote, best hair texture heretofore unseen in other games that feature black hair. Ooh. I don't know about that. We gotta stop right there, because let's look at some games with black hair. Let's look at Deathloop's black hair. I mean, that's not very black. It's curly, but I could see a black, they could have gone blacker with the hairstyle. Yeah, that's a wavy hair texture. That's not a super kinky hair texture. Now, Demon Souls, I'm always gonna point to Demon Souls because it's a pretty good example, but I think she's right. Even this Demon Souls hairstyle is not quite as nice as Sojourn's. But Guild Wars 2, I mean, come on. That's some great hair right there from Guild Wars 2. This hairstyle in particular, wow, that's definitely one of the best black hairstyles I've ever seen in a game. Maybe Sojourn's is a little nicer, you be the judge. Now, of course, in the Valley of the Gods, it never came out, so Zora doesn't really count there. But NBA 2K21, hold up. That is some incredibly realistic looking black hair right there. And while Sojourn's hair looks pretty amazing, I would give it personally to Horizon Forbidden West, because the hair in Horizon Forbidden West just looks incredible. It's also weird that Sojourn is wearing shorts because, it's Canada, guys. She's Canadian. But they said, she has robot legs, so she doesn't need pants, which I guess is fair.
At this point, though, it's been so long waiting for Sojourn to come. I'm gonna be real. I really just don't care anymore. I'm not really hype. I don't feel hype at all because it's been such a long wait.
I definitely don't think I'm going to be playing a lot of Overwatch 2 just because it's been so long since I've played Overwatch, and there was a time I was really into it, but I think that time is past. Yeah. But we'll see. We might, try it out just so that we can play as Sojourn, see that it has finally occurred. What do you think? Are you excited for Sojourn? Have you been waiting a long time like we have, or do you think it's really not that big of a deal? Whatever you think, we'd love to hear from you down in the comments. This has been a short gaming news update by Higher Level Gaming. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like if you enjoyed the video. But above all else, have a nice day and go play some video games.